Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
The Auditor General finds several financial missteps in the court system. We've got the story. The Marijuana Commission's report tabled. A woman sexually assaulted during a break-in, plus the gym housing Dorian evacuees to close this month.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. An Auditor General report on the Accounts Department of the courts has revealed several inaccuracies due to poor financial accounting. From missing checks to bad data entry and processing of child support, the report has called for major changes.
If you've had issues with receiving or paying child support over the past few years, there may be a pretty good reason. An Auditor General report into the Accounts Department of the Magistrates Court conducted between July 1, 2016 and June 30, 2018 found that, among other things, payments were sometimes not posted to clients' cards. In addition, birth certificates of the minor were not included on the file, which would determine the age of the child and when the age should cease. As well, all files examined did not have system-generated child support court orders. The arrear schedule attached to files were manually prepared and, in most instances, inaccurate. And clients were still paying maintenance support even after the child had reached the age of maturity. The Auditor General found that incorrect information keyed into the system could cause delays in check preparation, and also recommended a weekly system where plaintiffs can be notified of payments via email or telephone. But the report also revealed that checks were somehow going missing. It said, during the audit, we were informed that an endorsed blank check dated May 16, 2018 was missing and subsequently cashed on May 24, 2018 in the amount of $6,000. The matter was given to police for further investigation. Then there were manual checks that just vanished. 20 checks dated between April 29, 2019 and May 3, 2019 totaling $13,000 went missing. The checks were not found at the time of the audit, and management has since paid $45 per check for a total of $900 in cancellation fees. But the report also discovered that revenue deposits went missing as well. The report said, during our interview, it was revealed that revenue collected for the period February 5, 2018 to April 9, 2018 was not deposited. $749.81 in cash and $244 in checks. Well, in response to this issue, management said 2 customers were contacted in reference to the outstanding checks, which total $117. A check of $63 was collected, while the check for $54 was still pending. A total of $592 cash is still outstanding. The Auditor General also pointed out certain actions that raised a red flag, like adjustments to receipts. It noted, "It came to our attention during the audit that a customer's receipt was altered, and as a result, we reviewed a sale of reports through QuickBooks Analytics and note that several customers' payments were modified, resulting in clients' payments being reduced by $1,600. The Auditor General also found that roles were not clearly defined, where cashiers were doing everything including updating client payment cards, preparing client cards for check processing, modifying receipts without supervisory approval, and distributing clients' checks. Management at the courts was able to respond to the report and blamed the majority of it on staff shortage.
A woman was sexually assaulted in her Coral Harbor home last night during an armed robbery. Police are now searching for a man and his accomplice who robbed the woman of cash and other personal items before escaping in her vehicle. Jared Higgs reports.
It was around 8 p.m. on Tuesday night when police say 2 men forced their way into a home in Coral Harbor and held a woman who lived there at bay. After robbing the woman of cash and other personal items, one of the men raped the woman before both escaped in her gray 2008 Lexus IS 250 vehicle.
The defense force is right there, and so you should be safe, but it don't seem as if you're safe anymore.
Our News canvassed the Coral Harbor area to get reaction from residents there. 77-year-old Elizabeth Gibson says she has lived in the neighborhood for 6 years and she expected to be a lot safer.
It's terrible. I moved here because I was held up. Me and my husband were held up in South Beach.
The shocking incident has left the retiree frightened. She says she keeps herself locked up in her home except when she tends to her garden.
You have to be vigilant. You got to take notice. But then when you're sleeping, what could you do?
Other residents also expressed outrage over the appalling crime.
If a woman who just mind her own business, trying to do life, trying to live life, house could be invaded and be put at bay like this, man, it's just heartbreaking.
I hope they catch him and lock him in jail, or give her family a chance to deal with him before they lock him up.
If something like that took place around here, that's someone from uptown, really. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm just saying. But the Coral Harbor people, they're like one. Everybody know one another, especially in the back.
Now, of course, police are asking anybody who know the whereabouts of the rapist or his accomplice to contact them at 919 or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Well, police need your help finding an armed robbery suspect. They're searching for 26-year-old Anthony McKenzie of Garden Hills. He's said to have a dark brown complexion, standing between 5 feet 9 inches and 5 feet 11 inches with a slim build. If you know where Anthony McKenzie is, contact police at 502-9991 or 328-TIPS. Well, more than 2 weeks after the Bahamas National Commission on Marijuana presented its preliminary report to Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, that report was tabled in the House of Assembly and officially made public. It revealed several recommendations that Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says will be used to guide the government on the complex and controversial issue. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Prime Minister tabled this 71-page report as he confirmed his administration will use it as a guideline for the marijuana issue.
It is essential that we change our marijuana laws.
The Prime Minister made the comments as he tabled the final report for the Bahamas National Commission on Marijuana in the House of Assembly on Wednesday morning. The Prime Minister insisted marijuana reform is a matter of social justice.
This is a matter, Mr. Speaker, of rebirth and a matter of redemption. I am heartened by the widespread public support for this process, including from many religious leaders.
The PM said he supports the release from prison of any person solely incarcerated for small marijuana possession. The final preliminary report recommends that Rastafarians should be allowed to cultivate marijuana in zoned and regulated areas. It also called for a Rastafarian council to be established to register and regulate Rastafarian groups. The report also said those using marijuana for medicinal purposes will be allowed to cultivate sufficient plants to ensure they have access to the amount of marijuana needed for their medical conditions. It was also recommended that tourists who have been prescribed marijuana for medical use in their own countries also be allowed to obtain marijuana for medical use in the Bahamas. The legalization of the importation of regulated cannabis products to treat ailments was also recommended. However, while the earlier leaked report said recreational use of marijuana should be allowed for people over 21, the final preliminary report recommended that more data be explored to enable the Commission to come to a consensus regarding the legalization of cannabis for recreational use. It was also recommended that an independent authority be established to regulate and oversee the cannabis industry.
The marijuana reforms my government will deliver will work in parallel with our broader effort to change how we treat people with criminal convictions.
An earlier version of the marijuana report was leaked to Our News in December. As previously reported, recommendations also include the legalization of medicinal marijuana and the decriminalization of the possession of up to 1 ounce of the substance, as well as the expungement of all police records reflecting possessions of small amounts of cannabis. Minnis said the government will embark on a nationwide campaign to educate the public on marijuana. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
5 months after Hurricane Dorian pummeled Abaco and Grand Bahama, leaving thousands of residents displaced, government is preparing to shut down the shelter housing the majority of the remaining evacuees. Berthany McDermott reports.
The Kendall J. Isaacs Gym, which has housed hundreds of Hurricane Dorian survivors since September, will close at the end of the month, according to Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell, who said the gym will once again accommodate sporting activities.
We were in discussions with 2 properties. That was reduced to 1. Those discussions continue, but we're making good progress. Sufficient for me to be able to say that by the end of this month, we will be in a position to deactivate the Kendall J.L. Isaacs Gymnasium and make it available for its original intent, which is sporting activities.
In January, there were over 300 evacuees staying at the gym shelter, which was featured prominently in news headlines in recent months due to TB concerns and complaints of deteriorating conditions. Back in November, Campbell expressed hope that shelters would be closed by the holidays. However, the decision was made to keep them open a little longer. Once the gym shelter closes, Bahamas Academy will be the last shelter remaining.
My hope is that the work we're doing in assisting persons with rental and the work that is being done with sister agencies in terms of transitional homes and domes in the various islands will enable us in the shortest possible time to also deactivate Bahamas Academy.
In the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, government opened 10 shelters in New Providence to accommodate thousands of displaced residents who lost just about everything when the killer storm ravaged Abaco and parts of Grand Bahama. Shelter workers have complained that they were not paid. Campbell says his ministry is addressing this issue.
The ministry is sensitive to their plight, and I can assure you that their matter is being addressed and they will be paid shortly.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Tensions rising at the Water and Sewage Corporation, where employees walked off the job today. The Bahamas Utility Services and Allied Workers Union has instructed its members to begin work to rule. Georgia Bain reports.
USAW President and union members gathered outside Water and Sewage Thompson Boulevard location, saying that they are once again tired of being ignored by the executives and general management. According to the president, they are on work to rule until those demands are heard.
We are here today, and we expect results today. If we don't get no results, then we will up the ante. Every day go by, you will find that there's some action by this union until our matters are resolved.
USAW President Dwayne Woods is apologizing to water and sewage customers in advance, noting the union is prepared to take drastic measures to get management to meet them at the table. According to Woods, they have been waiting on a meeting with management since November of last year, after water and sewage failed to submit a counter-proposal for the industrial agreement.
Our last meeting with management was so long I don't remember. They failed to meet. As we said, they failed to meet. What they keep doing is every time we have set meetings, they move the goalposts. They move the goalposts. We can't win the game with them moving the goalposts because we can't score.
This despite an extension request due to Hurricane Dorian. Since then, Woods said the corporation has breached the agreement on several occasions.
Rolling back benefits that are contained within the industrial agreement, ranging from failure to meet and complete grievances at the general manager's level, stage 4 of the grievance procedure. Discontinuation of responsibility allowance payment.
Unfamiliar methods of promotion are also being used at the corporation, according to Woods, who reminded management that the union has a strike certificate and is prepared to use it.
We are on reduced enthusiasm, which encompasses wake the rule.
So how many members are part of your union?
We have a membership of about 310, and if you look around, you'll see the management union is also supporting us, so this might be a total shutdown from Bimini to Inagua.
Woods begs stakeholders to intervene before drastic measures are taken. Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
All right, thanks, Giorgio. Still to come, a major cruise line admits to dumping in Bahamian waters. Plus, a former FNM MP slams the minister administration. Stay tuned.
Phone is good. Internet is good. TV is good. But why just pick one thing when you can have everything with Tria? Only $99 a month gets you phone, internet, and cable. That's everything you need for $99 a month. Ask for Tria. Call 601-2200 or email residentialsales@cablebahamas.com. Rev, you and us together.
Amid calls for government to bare its environmental teeth and hit cruise lines with heavy fines for dumping in Bahamian waters, Transport Minister Ronald Wells revealed today that Norwegian Cruise Lines has been discharging waste in Bahamian waters as well. He said the cruise line informed the Bahamas Maritime Authority of its actions. Since then, government has contacted all cruise lines that sail through Bahamian waters.
I wish to report that my ministry is in close consultation with the Attorney General's office and with the Ministry of the Environment in this regard. Let me make one thing clear, Mr. Speaker, and in doing so emphatically state that we will defend our environmental sovereignty. Those who have breached our environmental laws will be made to account.
An environmental report released on New Year's Eve outlined several discharges by cruise lines in 2019, including the release of black water by MS Masdom in March and the release of a considerable amount of rust by Carnival Sunrise back in September. The Transport Minister announced a new appointment in the Maritime Authority to deal solely with cruise ship discharges.
Anything inside this line constitute the territorial waters of the Bahamas. We absolutely prohibited any discharges at sea within this boundary, even discharges that are considered safe by other countries. We will not permit and we will not tolerate any discharges at sea within the waters of our Commonwealth.
Centerville Member of Parliament Reese Chipman slammed the government during an impassioned contribution in the House of Assembly, where he accused the Minutes administration of putting on a show that Bahamians are tired of.
I believe something is wrong in this parliament, Mr. Speaker. And I don't know if it has anything to do with the individuals. I even think it's bigger than them. We got to change some stuff. We need more nationalists in here. People who believe in us. So I'm not going to sit in a chair and be a glove. That just is not going to work for me. And it definitely ain't going to work for my children. And so it's important for us to realize that every single one of us have a responsibility in here.
Chipman asserted that Parliament meets for an agenda that appears significant to others but is insignificant to many Bahamians.
I contend, Mr. Speaker, what may be good in the Bahamas or may be good for the Bahamas may not be good for Bahamians.
Chipman said several promises made by the government have yet to be fulfilled. He added, while the government says it is transparent, there are still many questions that need answers.
Now about the debate mid-year budget for almost $600 million and all of these funds and PPPs all over the place, and you don't know where anything is. So it'll be important for them to bring these things forward so we know how much money we have and how much money we need to do what we need to do. It just seems to be that all of these requests appear to be retroactive. I saw the IDB approved a loan February 2nd for $80 million, and I'm there looking at the website trying to figure out what that's for.
Still to come, why the PLP says it will buck the trend of one-term governments. Stay tuned.
Phone is good. Internet is good. TV is good. But why just pick one thing when you can have everything with Tria? Only $99 a month gets you phone, internet, and cable. That's everything you need for $99 a month. Ask for Tria. Call 601-2200 or email residentialsales@cablebahamas.com. Rev, you and us together.
The last Christie administration was not perfect and made mistakes, according to Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis, who addressed party supporters last night during a forum held by the National Progressive Institute. Davis says the country has new problems that call for new ways of thinking.
I've said on previous occasions that our last administration was not perfect. We made mistakes, but we were always mindful of the people impacted by our policies. We do not think in terms of statistics, but in terms of families who will be helped by sound policies or harmed by selfish, narrow, and ill-advised policies.
Deputy Leader Chester Cooper says Bahamians demonstrate their frustration by changing governments every 5 years, but the PLP intends to buck this trend.
As we see a floundering F&M administration blunder its way through public policy and an unprecedented natural disaster, we set our eyes on bringing more effective governance to the table. But keep in mind, it is about the greater good and what is best for our Bahamas. and not simply what's best for the PLP. If the F&M ever held to this concept, it has now been abandoned. If they ever had a plan or a will to get things done, that too has been abandoned.